with a real mystery here. Um, but I think I know who did this. So we are going today to look at John Benet Ramsey. The whole Ramsey family. It's just an interesting family. So much so, this is going to be two parts. I will start with the first part and look at Jean Benet, and then I'm going to look at I'm gonna look at John Benet and Patsy, I think, and then I'll look at the father and John and Burke. Um, so first of all, I want to just take a moment. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for loving the channel. I am just, I said this yesterday on the live. I'm so excited about this channel because now I get to do some things that I really love, and solving mysteries and looking into strange deaths is what I like to do. So in this particular case, I definitely want you to put into the comments if you agree with me. You can do it in this video or the other video or anything that you know or you want to share. I'd be very interested in hearing. And let's get started. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. This crime happened in 1996. So 1996, the Macarena was a big, remember? Oh, Macarena. I never did that dance, but it was big. Oprah had started her book club. I think it was Deep Into the Water was the very first book. Also, we had re-elected President Clinton in office. Now, for the Ramseys, it was especially good. They were living in Boulder, Colorado, a beautiful small town, more college town. Patsy was a housewife. Patsy was originally from Atlanta. I believe the whole family had lived in Atlanta for quite a while, but Patsy was born in Atlanta. She was a very Southern type lady. She loved entertaining and parties, get togethers. She also loved pageants. She was in beauty pageants as she was growing along. John, on the other hand, was a businessman. He opened a computer business in Boulder that was just fantastic. So much so, he was voted Entrepreneur of the Year in Boulder. Now, Patsy was celebrating her 40th birthday that year, and Patsy also was a cancer survivor, ovarian cancer. So, this was a very important year for her for having overcome these things. At this point, John Benet was uh, 4 years old. Well, at the time of the murder, I should say that she was 6 and Burke was 9. John Benet had in started working in pageants when she was 4 years old. Very pretty girl, very pretty smile, long blonde hair, and she absolutely loved it. She was just a regular, playful, mischievous little girl. It was all fun and dress up for her, and she'd seen mommy do those things around the house, so she wanted to do that. Um, so on the night of Christmas Eve of 1996, the family had gone by some friend's house, and they had stayed especially late. They got back in, and according to John, John Bonet was asleep, and they took her to bed. And then everyone else went to bed. They set the alarm and getting ready to get up for the next day. Patsy, in turn, woke up very early that following morning. And as she's coming down the steps, she notices neatly placed, those are her words, neatly placed, pay attention, neatly placed on the stairs. And she proceeds to read the note. She rushes back upstairs to the room, opens the door, and finds Jean Benet is not in the room. She immediately starts screaming for her husband to tell him that someone had kidnapped Jean Benet. Um, not even looking through the house, not anything else, just immediately going there. Um, so one of the things in the notes that struck me is it said, "We have your daughter." Um, I don't know, something about that just struck me. A note being laid neatly on the step, 3-page ransom note. Um, Now, if there had been a true ransom note, not saying that there was, if you were there at that time, you know there was a note, um, but it was 3 pages. Now, that would mean that whoever came in and wrote that note felt quite comfortable. Um, and sat down somewhere. They actually turned out it was Patsy's pad they wrote on and her writing utensil and wrote this long, rambling note. So much so, they even had that they wanted $118,000, which was very close, almost exactly to what John's bonus was going to be that year. How'd they know that? I don't know. Um, but we have your daughter was in there. Um, Patsy says that when she read the note, the first thing that came over her was overwhelming fear. And as I watched her speaking about it, you're right. She probably did have overwhelming fear because, oh my God, people are going to know what happened. After her and John got up, nobody looked around the house. Okay? Nobody, to see maybe she was in the bathroom or maybe she was there or any windows or doors opened or anything. According to the police, the house had not been burglarized. There was nothing, no one had jimmied a lock or broke into a window. There's been a lot of speculations and this and that, but there was nobody that broke into the house. Now Patsy proceeds to call 911. And it is a very dramatic call. And I don't want to belittle her because she's passed on now. And this is all for entertainment, by the way. This is just entertainment. This is just alleged. Let me just put that out there for YouTube. She could have very well have been very overwhelmed, very excited. I would have. But at the same time, Patsy was described as an Atlanta woman, very dramatic, very loved the attention, loved to be in the limelight, loved the pageants and singing and everything that. So when the call was made, it was very dramatic. No tears, but very dramatic. Um, After she hangs up with 911, she proceeds to get on the phone and call her friends. Now, everyone has come into the house. They're sitting around, they're talking, they're drinking coffee, whatever, and they are literally passing the ransom note around before the police have even gotten a chance to do anything, before the place has even been secured. There should not have been anybody in there. Now, I'm just going to put in some of my own things, my own imagination, my own mentality, my own thoughts, my own way that I would have been. I'm not them. If someone had kidnapped my 6-year old child, first I'm going to be looking all over the house. I'm going to have my husband looking high and low everywhere. That's first and foremost. Number two, I'm going to be wondering why is there a 3-page note? Who slept that hard and that deep that we couldn't hear them walking around, maybe drinking a beverage, ransacking through our notebooks and our pens and pads, that they felt comfortable enough to write that it was laid neatly on the steps. Now, maybe I watched too much um, TV, or maybe I have good common sense. But I'm thinking that if someone is leaving a ransom note for my child, it's going to be something. I got your child. Give me, this X amount of money. I'll call you, and then they leave because it's got to be something fast because somebody could wake up. It's supposed to be a quick snatch and grab, not a leisurely long. Even I've seen the notes several times. There were even words scratched out. There was a vocabulary that was well above a 4-year high school. This was someone that was highly intelligent that wrote this using terminology, phrases, vocabulary words that an average person wouldn't do. It'd been, I took your daughter. Okay. So let me just put that out there. Now, the police got there, and the first person in was a police officer by the name of Linda Arndt. Linda Arndt was trying to secure the place, and she was having a heck of a time with people not really listening to her. John was pacing and antsy and everything. So she finally tells John, Okay, John, why don't you search the house? Okay, you would not have to tell me that. That would have been done already, but that's just Joyce. So she tells him, start at the top and just work your way down. She really was just trying to get him out of her hair. So he goes on his way. The first place he goes is the basement. What does he find in the basement? He finds Jean Benet. Jean Benet is has a blanket, has her blanket. She's got her hands are tied up above her head. She has a piece of tape across her mouth and her eyes are closed. John proceeds to take the tape off. Now evidence is tampered with. He takes the tape off. He brings her upstairs, lays her on the floor in the living room, and then gets another blanket, which if you're like me, you have blankets and throws laying around. You don't know how, pristine clean they are or hair or pet hair or whatever, but he takes the blanket and lays it on her. Now the crime scene is completely tainted. You've got the friends who've been walking in and out of the house. You've got John in the basement has moved the child from the scene of the crime to a completely another room, who's draped another piece of material over her. Um, so it was completely contaminated. Come to find out that John Bonet had been strangled, okay, with a cord called a garrote, and it's a homemade tool where they take a small piece of wood, they tie a string around it, and they tighten it around her neck. Um, she also was found to be hit in the head, which caused significant damage to her head, and there was evidence of sexual abuse. Now, Detective Art says that when John came up with Jean Bonnet in his arms, and she's like, "Oh, what have you done? You've messed up the crime scene." He gave her such a look that she had a holster, strap holster with her gun in it, and she grabbed it close to her because she thought that they were never going to be out of this house. Maybe everybody was going to be killed before the family even came. After further evidence of all these, the rope, the garrote, things like that, it was found that the rope was from the house. The garrote was actually from an art set, art tools that Patsy had in the basement, and the was a big brush had been broken to make that particular tool. Um, so, what also happened right after, this is according to police officer Art, that as soon as the body of Jean Benet was discovered, John immediately got on the phone and called his pilot to arrange a flight to leave from Boulder to Atlanta. Um, what happened after that is the family got to where they were not going to speak to police. They would not allow. If you were there, you remember it was always on the news. They weren't going to speak to the police. They weren't going to speak to the police, and they lawyered up right quick. So let me interject right there. If my daughter had been kidnapped, raped, murdered, beaten about the head, strangled to death, you better believe I am telling everything where we were, what we did, what happened, da da da. I would not lawyer up. Why would I lawyer up? I want to help you in every possible way to catch this stranger, this fiend. What they did instead of talking to police, they actually went on CNN and did an interview. Um, and then we have in this particular CNN interview clip I see is Patty and John. They're talking, and then Patsy says to the camera, "If anyone knows anything, please let us know." Except for there were no tears. There were no tears. And if you watch body language, which I really watched their body language, they were saying a lot of yeses, but the head was shaking no. Or they were saying a lot of no, the heads was shaking yes, which simply means that there is deception going on. Um, Now, what I also find interesting is that um, the way the body was found in the basement, even with having been sexually assaulted, which has later been proven not really true. Um, it was actually that tool was used inserted into that child because they had to create a motive. In addition, the fibers on that tape that they took off of Jean Benet's mouth was analyzed, and it was covered with the fibers of the red jacket that Patsy wore the night of the event that they went to their friend's house for Christmas. The fibers were on that. However, if you remember correctly, the Boulder police kept covering for them. The Boulder police wouldn't really look into that because they said, well, Patsy does live there. The fibers should be there. Why, if and anybody who uses duct tape knows that it doesn't flop up loose, it doesn't catch stray fibers. The only way it catches fibers if it touches something. It's just the way of that tape. It's a very cloth like tape, but they wouldn't check into it any further. Um, One moment. Okay, I want to take a minute to take a look at their birthdays and what year that they're in. And I'm only going to look today at Jean Benet and Patsy. Jean Benet, a little Leo, she was born August 6, 1990 at 1:36 a.m. in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Jean Benet was in a number 3 year. So she probably was very bubbly and happy and excited. Um, that number 8 tells me that she was immersed in money and abundance and that things was just showered down on her. The problem, though, with the 3, if you want to say a problem, is they become emotional and oversensitive. And at this age, she probably did temper tantrums and things like that, but that's who she was. She's a number 4 life path, so that number 4 would really have her be quite unique, very intelligent, very organized. Her dials would have been lined up, but she also would have been really of service. Okay, she would have wanted to be of service or do what the family says. Um, as I look at her chart, this was fated. Okay, this is destiny, period. Jean Benet was fated for this to happen. It was already planned, it was already written out. Her life it was a mixture. Part of it was a public life, but the deeper part of it was private. And if you look at her being murdered in the basement, that's private. Okay. Her rising is a Gemini, so boy, was she bubbly and energetic and exuberant. She probably talk all the time to anybody. Um, really liked to have freedom and do things the way that she liked to do them. Very creative. She probably liked to write. She probably was Burke's biggest thorn, being that she would have constantly want to be entertained or chatting or playing or being with someone. Her sun is in Leo. A very sweet child. The sun is shining right down on that little girl. I can just feel it right now where she loved attention. She would talk, and get information, have that Gemini energy, being smart, and have to come and share it and tell it all. This would be a lot for Burke to deal with. Burke was 3 years older than her. So that would tell me he'd like to go and do his own things. But here, this little fireball would run right in and break that up. Her moon was in Aquarius. So she really was a free thinker. Child, a really creative child, outside the box child, really interested in things. And if your kid is like that, and I don't know if you guys have had a child like that or a grandchild like that, or maybe you were like that, that child sucks up this information and runs to go share, because that is the way that they get attention. That intellect causes them to do that. She had a Virgo in Mercury, so that made her very loyal and dutiful to her family. She liked freedom. Okay, if she got some shine and attention with pageants, that was cool when she was 4, because she started when she was 4. But she was getting a little bit tired of it. She wanted to do something different, not just that. But her mom wanted her to be like a dress up doll. That this is what you're gonna do. This is what I did. This is what we do. But her with that Gemini, Leo, and Aquarius, she was kind of like, I don't know. I don't think I want to do that. And then Leo and Aquarius are very fixed signs, so she would get very stubborn, very hard headed. Um, her Venus is in Cancer, so she was very sweet and very loving, and she would have liked tea parties and frilly things, but she would more so like blue jeans and tennis shoes, little shirts, stuff like that, so she could just be run and be free. Um, her Mars is in Taurus, and that's really as much as I'm going to look at with her. Her Mars in Taurus is a fine place. A Mars in Taurus does not say stay angry, angry, angry. More so, they like to be kind of left alone in their own imagination, in their own world. But if you push them, that Taurus energy can come out you like a bull in a china shop. But you really have to push them. She was not easily angered, okay? She would have these little temper tantrums of a child, but she wasn't easily angered. She was a good person. She was a good child. That's Jean Bonnet. Let me look at Patsy. Patsy's birthday was December 29th, 1956. Her for the 1919 did I say that in 1996 Jean Bonnet and Patsy had life paths of a number 3. So that tells me there was a lot of head bumping there because they could either be best of friends, doing stuff, taking pictures, posing, okay, mommy, I'll do this and that, and then they both could clash over the smallest thing, and the smallest things would turn up into the biggest things. Patsy has a number 8 life path, and so that's great as far as abundance and material things um, being taken care of because she was a housewife of a affluent person, had a big beautiful home. However, that 8 makes her harsh. She had a very harsh mouth to people. Don't tick her off. She is going to go off, period. Whether it's her husbands, her kids, or whatever. This includes a lot of yelling, a lot of harsh things, a lot of things that sometimes are not even forgivable. Her rising is in Taurus. So with her rising in Taurus and Jean Bonnet in Gemini, there was a clash right there. They couldn't understand each other. You remember the old book Women are for Venus, Men are for Mars. It was like that. They couldn't understand each other. They couldn't see um, because that Taurus, that Earth wants to build, wants to work, and Jean Bonnet with that rise in Gemini wants to play and frolic and talk and socialize. And so, if they were practicing for pageants, Patsy would be yelling about, "Let's go, let's go, let's go, do it, do it, do it, better, 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 not good enough." Whereas Jean Bonnet would be like, "I don't want to do this. I'm bored." She had so much air, and she just felt like I'm enough. In addition, Patsy's sun is in Capricorn. So once again, this is somebody that really thinks about money. Okay, having it, what to do with it, how to spend it. They'd have really liked the finer things in life that comes from designer clothes, beautiful furnishings, all of that. Now you see, John Bonet had a bedwetting issue. And this would have bothered Patsy because I'm constantly having to clean this up for you. Okay. Um, this is making a mess. Or that note. Remember, I told you to remember that. Put a pin in that. That note was found neatly. That's all that organized. It's got to be right. It's got to be this way. Her moon is in Sagittarius. So Patsy did like to roam. She'd like to go and travel for these pageants. She was very intelligent. She was warm, for sure, but she did like, part of her like fun and freedom as well. Her Mercury was in Capricorn, money, money, money. But her Mars is what most interests me. Her Mars is in Aries, and that is fire on fire. So it's like I told you, with that Mars in Aries and that number 8 life path, that was a ticking time bomb. She could blow. I've always had this thought, and maybe I shouldn't share with you guys. It's up to you to take it or leave it. But sometimes when you have a lot of anger in you, that can manifest in sicknesses and illness. And she was very angry. She could blow up in a minute. She could get over it pretty quickly, though, but she would blow up in a minute. Anything would set her off. She could get even physical if she needed to. Would that be pinching, pulling, spankings for the kids and everything else. Patsy's life was also one of destiny. What was going to happen was going to happen. It was meant to be. Her life, though, was private. She didn't want her business all out there. So we've got Jean Benet, the free spirit, lovely Leo child. We've got Patsy, the sort of heavy, plotting, stodgy, everything is strategic, everything is planned out. Every pageant we've got to practice, the hair's got to be right, you got to have makeup on, everything is planned and thought out, and it's going to get us a win, 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 win. So you've got two completely different individuals. In addition, going through a three life path, which can be quite bubbly and joyful on one hand, but poor me, victimish on the other. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave you with that today. That is part one. Part two, we're going to look at Burke and John, and then I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened. You guys, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later in the week. It will be up there on Wednesday. So be back Wednesday. Bye, guys.